Have you ever felt it? That quiet, persistent sense of being a stranger in your own life? On the surface, everything is fine. You are good. You are kind, responsible, hardworking. You play the part you've been assigned. The dependable employee, the supportive friend, the loving partner, the good child. You smile at the right times. You offer the right words of comfort. You follow the unspoken rules of the world around you. Yet, in the silent moments, when the applause dies down and the audience is gone, a hollow echo remains. A feeling that you are living in just a few well-lit rooms of a vast and mysterious house that is you. You can hear faint noises from the floors above, feel strange drafts from beneath the floorboards, and you know with a certainty that both chills and intrigues you, that there are doors within you that have remained locked for a very, very long time. This feeling isn't a flaw. It's a summons. It's a call from the deepest parts of yourself to stop living only in the foyer and the living room, and to begin the courageous journey of exploring the entire mansion of your being. The great Swiss psychiatrist, Carl Jung, a man who charted the hidden geographies of the human mind, understood this journey better than anyone. He proposed that our psyche is not a simple single-story dwelling, but a multi-layered structure, complete with a sunlit attic, a presentable main floor, and a deep, dark, and often feared basement. And he issued a profound, almost unsettling piece of wisdom for those of us who try so very hard to be good, that true wholeness, true psychological health, does not come from endlessly polishing the furniture on the main floor. It comes from taking a lantern, gathering your courage, and descending the stairs into the basement into what he famously called the shadow. Today, we are going on that journey together. We are not just going to talk about the shadow. We are going to walk through the metaphorical halls of your own inner world. We will turn the keys to some of those locked rooms, and perhaps, just perhaps, begin to understand that the things we have feared and hidden away are not monsters to be slain, but lost parts of ourselves waiting to be reclaimed, holding the very power, creativity, and authenticity we've been searching for all along. To begin this exploration, we must first look at the part of the house we know best, the main floor. These are the rooms where we entertain guests, the spaces we've carefully decorated to be seen by the outside world. Jung called this our persona. Think of it as the social mask we wear. It's the curated version of ourselves that we present at work, in social gatherings, even with our families. It's the me that is agreeable, competent, and socially acceptable. This persona is not inherently bad. It's a vital tool for navigating a complex social world. It's like the front door and the welcoming hallway of our house. It allows us to interact with the world without letting every stranger into our most private chambers. The problem arises when we mistake the mask for our actual face, when we believe that the decorated front rooms are the entirety of our home. We spend so much energy maintaining this facade, ensuring the cushions are always plumped and the windows are clean, that we forget about the rest of the structure. We might start to feel a deep unease, a sense that our life is a performance. This is the exhaustion that comes from holding a pose for too long. We become, as Jung might say, identical with our persona, and in doing so, we alienate ourselves from our own true nature. Our genuine feelings, our unconventional thoughts, our secret longings, they get relegated to the back rooms, or worse, shoved down into the basement because they don't fit the decor of the persona. Have you ever said, "I'm fine," when your heart was breaking? Have you ever smiled and nodded while a storm of disagreement raged inside you? That is the persona at work, and each time it happens, another piece of your authentic self is sent into the shadows. If this idea of exploring your own inner house, of looking beyond the curated rooms of your persona, is already sparking a new perspective for you, take a moment to subscribe to Mind Decode Explained. We journey through these intricate landscapes of the mind together, discovering the keys to a more authentic and integrated life. Your presence here makes our community of explorers richer and more complete. So, why must we venture into these hidden parts? Why not just stay in the comfortable, well-lit rooms? Because a house that is only partially inhabited is not a stable home. The parts of ourselves we deny and repress the shadow do not simply vanish, they fester in the darkness. Jung warned that an unexamined shadow is the source of so much of our unconscious suffering. It's the origin of those sudden, inexplicable moods that hijack our day. It's the force behind our self-sabotaging behaviors. The ones that make us ask, "Why did I do that?" It's the projector that casts our own unacknowledged flaws onto others, making us see faults in them that are, in fact, reflections of our own hidden darkness. Imagine the basement of your inner house. We've been taught to fear it. We imagine it's filled with spiders, ghouls, and all manner of terrifying things. So we nail the door shut and pretend it doesn't exist. But what is actually down there? Perhaps it's not a monster. Perhaps, if we dared to open the door and shine a light, we would find something else entirely. Down in the darkness of the shadow are not just things we deem bad, but anything that we have disowned. Let's descend those creaking stairs. What do we find? In one corner, there is repressed anger. Maybe you were taught as a child that good people don't get angry. So, every time you felt the hot surge of righteous indignation, you swallowed it. You pushed it down into the basement. Now it sits there, not as a clean, expressed emotion, but as a corrosive, simmering resentment that leaks out as passive aggression, sharp cynicism, or chronic physical tension. Over in another corner, there is envy. You've been told that being envious is petty and ugly. So when your friend gets the promotion you wanted, or your sibling achieves a milestone, you plaster on a smile and say, "I'm so happy for you," while shoving the green-eyed monster of envy down the basement stairs. There, it doesn't learn or grow. It simply whispers bitter stories about your own inadequacy. But look closer. The shadow isn't just a cellar of negative emotions. It also holds our undeveloped potential, our squandered creativity, our raw, untamed life force. Perhaps you were a child who loved to paint, to make a glorious mess with colors, but you were told it was impractical, a waste of time. So, you locked your artist self in the basement. Down there, that creative energy didn't die. It just got dusty and frustrated. It might manifest now as a vague, persistent dissatisfaction with your very practical, very colorless life. Perhaps you have a powerful, assertive voice, a natural leader within you, but you were told to be quiet, to not make waves. That powerful part of you is also in the shadow, and its muffled cries for expression might sound a lot like anxiety or a constant feeling of being overlooked. Here we must dismantle a crucial misconception. Confronting and integrating the shadow does not mean giving it a license to take over the house. It is not an invitation to start screaming at your boss, acting on every selfish impulse, or letting envy guide your actions. That would be akin to opening the basement door and letting whatever is down there run amok, unguided and untamed. Jung's wisdom was far more nuanced. Integration is not indulgence, it is awareness. It is the act of taking a lantern, the lantern of conscious, non-judgmental attention down into the basement and taking inventory. It's saying, there is my anger. I see it. It feels hot and powerful. What is it trying to tell me? What boundary has been crossed? What injustice does it want me to address? It's acknowledging, "Hello, envy. I feel you. Your presence points to a deep desire within me. Instead of resenting another's success, can I use you as a compass to clarify what I truly want for my own life?" As the renowned researcher Brené Brown has shown in her work on vulnerability, shame, which is the very mortar of the shadow's prison, cannot survive being spoken and witnessed. It thrives in secrecy and silence. By bringing our shadow aspects into the light of our own awareness, we strip them of their compulsive, unconscious power. We transform them from saboteurs into sources of information, energy, and even wisdom. The anger, once acknowledged, can become the fuel for setting healthy boundaries. The envy, once understood, can become the motivation for ambitious goals. The rejected artist, once invited back upstairs, can bring color and joy back into the entire house. This process of integration is the very heart of what Jung called individuation. This is one of his most vital concepts, and it's intimately tied to our house metaphor. Individuation is the lifelong journey of becoming who you truly are, of becoming an individual, that is, an undivided whole person. It's about ceasing to live in a house divided against itself and instead becoming the conscious, responsible owner of the entire property. This brings us to the immense pressure of the outside world. Think of it this way. When we inherit our psychic house, it comes with a thick manual of instructions left by the previous owners or family, our culture, our society. This manual tells us which rooms are acceptable to use, how to decorate them, and which doors must absolutely remain locked. It dictates the accepted path to the front door. To find our own unique way, to follow the path of individuation, requires the courage to set that manual aside, not to burn it, but to consult it as a guide rather than a gospel, and to begin drawing our own blueprints. Society has a vested interest in us staying on the main floor, in us maintaining our persona. It needs predictability. It wants us to be good cogs in the machine. And so, it constantly nudges, rewards, and punishes us to keep us in line. This isn't necessarily malicious. It's how cultures maintain cohesion. But if we are not careful, we can lose ourselves entirely to this external pressure. We might build a life that looks incredibly successful on the outside, the perfect job, the perfect family, the perfect home, but feels like an empty stage set on the inside, because it was built according to someone else's script. Jung argued that true individuality blossoms when we can distinguish between the voice of society and the quieter, deeper voice of our own soul. This doesn't mean we become hermits or rebels who reject all social norms. The truly individuated person isn't the one who smashes the system for the sake of it. Rather, they have learned to live in harmony with the world without losing their inner compass. They can walk through the village and participate in its customs, but they always know the way back to their own unique home. They can fulfill their social roles with integrity, but they don't confuse the role with their real self. Their sense of worth comes not from external approval, but from a deep inner alignment with their whole being, basement, main floor, attic, and all. This redefines what it means to be a good person. We are often taught a version of goodness that is about compliance and conformity. Being good means following the rules, being selfless, being pleasant. Jung would challenge this. He would suggest that an attempt to be good that is based on denying half of yourself, your shadow, is not goodness at all. It is fragility. It is a performance. A person who has never acknowledged their own capacity for anger, selfishness, or cruelty is not truly good. They are merely naive. Their goodness has never been tested by the full reality of their own nature. It's a pristine white suit worn by someone who has never been near mud. True moral maturity, from a Jungian perspective, is far more robust and courageous. It involves the terrifying, humbling act of looking your own shadow in the eye and saying, "You are also a part of me." It's recognizing that within you lies the potential for both great compassion and great cruelty, for both selfless love and selfish desire. Real goodness is not the absence of the dark, but the integration of it. It's making a conscious, deliberate choice to act from a place of love, integrity, and compassion, despite knowing you have other options. This goodness has weight. It has substance. It's born not of ignorance, but of profound self-knowledge and inner struggle. It is the goodness of the person who has been through the mud, who knows how dirty they can get, and yet chooses again and again to walk in the light. This kind of goodness doesn't need an audience. It isn't seeking a reward. Its reward is the feeling of wholeness itself. This journey inevitably leads us to confront one of the most powerful guardians of the locked doors: fear. Fear is the gatekeeper of the unconscious. Every repressed part of us, every unhealed wound, every rejected aspect of our shadow is guarded by a specific fear. Fear of failure guards the room of our bold ambitions. Fear of rejection guards the room of our deep need for connection and our authentic, quirky self. Fear of not being enough guards the room of our innate power and brilliance. Our natural instinct is to run from fear. We distract ourselves, we numb ourselves, we rationalize it away. But Jung taught that what we resist persists. Suppressed fear doesn't disappear, it metastasizes. It turns into a free-floating anxiety, a general sense of dread that hums beneath the surface of our lives. It becomes the monster under the bed that grows larger the more we refuse to look. Jung's radical proposal is to turn towards what scares us, to treat fear not as a stop sign, but as a signpost. Fear, in this light, becomes a sacred teacher. It is an internal alarm system, signaling that we are approaching a part of ourselves that needs attention, that holds trapped energy and potential for growth. Imagine standing before one of those locked doors in your inner house. Your hand trembles as you reach for the knob. Fear is the trembling. It's the voice whispering, "Don't open that. You don't know what's inside. It's safer out here." The Jungian path is to take a deep breath, acknowledge the fear, and say, "Thank you for trying to protect me. I hear you. But I need to see what's in this room." When we open the door, we rarely find the monster we imagined. Instead, we find a younger version of ourselves, frozen in time by a past hurt. We find a misunderstood desire. We find a powerful truth we weren't ready to face. By confronting the fear and entering the room, we don't destroy the fear. We integrate the wisdom behind it and liberate the part of ourselves that was trapped there. This is the alchemy of courage, turning the lead of fear into the gold of self-awareness. This entire process underscores a fundamental truth about human existence. Life is constant growth and evolution. We are not static beings cast in stone. We are dynamic processes. From the moment we are born to the moment we die, we are in a state of perpetual transformation. Every experience, every relationship, every joy, and especially every struggle is a catalyst for our psychological and spiritual evolution. Jung saw this not as a random series of events, but as an innate, purposeful drive within the human psyche. It is the acorn's innate drive to become an oak tree. He believed our souls have an inner urge to grow towards wholeness, to constantly seek and integrate and become more of ourselves. This journey, this process of individuation, is a constant dance between who we have been, who we are now, and who we are becoming. It requires us to shed old skins, to let go of outdated beliefs about ourselves and the world, much like we might decide to knock down a wall in our inner house to create a more open, light-filled space. This can be painful. It can feel like a loss. But it is the necessary work of growth. Resisting this change, clinging to the familiar rooms and the old furniture out of fear, is the source of stagnation and neurosis. Embracing change, seeing life as a continuous unfolding, allows us to engage with the creative force of our own evolution. We begin to see challenges not as obstacles, but as curriculum designed for our soul's expansion. This growth is rarely smooth. It is powered by inner conflict. The human psyche is not a peaceful kingdom. It is a vibrant, often chaotic parliament of competing voices. There is a tension between our conscious desires and our subconscious needs. There's a conflict between our longing for security and our thirst for adventure, between our need for solitude and our desire for connection, between the values we were taught and the values we have discovered for ourselves. These internal battles, these moments where we feel torn in two, are not signs that we are broken. Jung saw them as the very engine of development. Think of it as the natural tension in the structure of our house. The foundation, our need for safety, pulls downward, while the roof, our aspirations, reaches upward. It is this dynamic tension that holds the house together and gives it its strength. When we try to ignore one of these forces, for example, by pursuing aspirations without a solid foundation, the structure becomes unstable. The work is not to eliminate the conflict, but to become a conscious mediator of it. It's about creating a space where these opposing parts of ourselves can speak to one another. What does the part of me that wants security need to feel safe? What does the part of me that craves freedom need to feel alive? By holding this tension and listening to the needs of all our inner constituents, we can arrive at more creative, integrated solutions. This is the essence of resolving inner conflict, not through suppression, but through dialogue and synthesis. It's the hard, necessary wrestle that forges a stronger, more resilient, and more harmonious self. Ultimately, this entire inner journey is reflected in how we navigate the tension between our inner world and the demands of the outer world. The inner war against the outside world, as Jung termed it, is perhaps the central drama of modern life. We are constantly pulled between the pressure to conform, to produce, to be a certain way, and the deep, intrinsic need to be true to our own unique soul. This isn't just a philosophical problem, it's a daily reality. The demands of our jobs, the expectations of our families, the constant barrage of social media, they all exert a powerful gravitational pull, threatening to pull us out of our own orbit. This can lead to a profound sense of alienation, of living a life that isn't really ours. We might feel like we are playing a role in a play we didn't write. Jung's wisdom here is not to declare war on the outside world, but to find a rhythm, a sacred balance between engagement and retreat. We need periods of engagement with the world to test ourselves, to contribute, to love, and to work. But we also desperately need periods of solitude and introversion, not as an escape, but as a necessary act of psychic hygiene. It is in these quiet moments, away from the noise of external demands, that we can reconnect with our inner world. It is here that we can once again hear the whispers from the unlit rooms, consult our own inner compass, and strengthen our sense of self. Learning to navigate this tensiontobi in the world, but not entirely of itis, the master art of living a free and authentic life. So, we return to you, standing at the threshold of your own inner house. You have lived on the main floor for a long time. It is familiar, it is safe. But you have heard the call. You know there is more to you than this. The journey that Jung maps out is not an easy one. It asks for courage. It asks for honesty. It asks for a willingness to sit with discomfort and to embrace the full, messy, beautiful, and sometimes terrifying totality of who you are. But the promise of this journey is nothing less than coming home to yourself. Imagine for a moment what that would feel like. To walk freely through every room of your being. To open the windows in the attic and let the sunlight of higher consciousness pour in. To enjoy the comfort and connection of the main floor, authentically and without pretense. And to descend into the basement, not with fear, but with a knowing respect, understanding that in its darkness lies your deepest strength, your most vibrant energy, and your most profound creativity. The goal is not to have a perfect house. There will always be leaky faucets to fix, dust to be cleared, and new rooms to discover. The goal is to have a whole house. An integrated house, where the light and the dark are not at war, but are acknowledged as essential parts of the same structure. A house where you are no longer a frightened tenant, hiding in a few rooms, but the wise and loving caretaker of the entire magnificent estate. This is the process of becoming whole. It is the work of a lifetime, and it begins with a single, courageous step. It begins with the decision to stop ignoring the noises and the drafts, and instead, to turn towards them with curiosity. It begins with picking up the lantern of your awareness. Tonight, just before you fall asleep, in the quiet space between wakefulness and dreams, I invite you to ask yourself one gentle question. What is one door inside of me that I have been afraid to approach? You don't have to unlock it. You don't have to swing it open. Just acknowledging its existence is the first step. Just standing before it with gentle intention is the beginning of the journey. The journey to the unlit rooms of your soul. The journey home.